Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a special episode of A Shot at Business Central and a Beer. We've got news, AI happenings, and a special treat for you. Get ready for an epic showdown as our host, Ken, takes on the maestro of MRP in a no-holds-barred, non-sanctioned MRP cage match.
Hey everybody, Ken here, and I'm thrilled to be your co-pilot on this journey through the latest Business Central buzz. Joining us today is the MRP maestro himself, Mark Heick. Mark, welcome aboard.
Thanks, Ken. It's an honor to be here. I'm ready to tackle you and everything else MRP.
Whoa, it's already getting heated. Make sure to hold on to your seats, everyone, because Ken and Mark are ready to go head-to-head in a battle of wits to see who can come up with the ultimate MRP automation strategies for Business Central. Rules, nobody needs rules.
At the end of this showdown, we might be a little battered and a little bloodied, but only one of us will emerge victorious as the MRP Master Champion.
So grab your favorite beverage, sit back, and get ready for a showdown like no other. Let the MRP cage match begin.
A shot of Business Central and a beer starts now.
All right, let's talk beer then. What do we got here? We got
What we got? You tell me.
yeah, I'll tell you, yeah. Went to Benny's, walked around, saw 5,000 beers and 4,500 for some reason, like we said, all look the same. Honestly, I was looking to find some sort of pumpkin beer because we've had such a bad experience thanks to our guest years ago, and I wanted to alleviate that. But I settled on a peanut butter milk stout Nitro beer by Left Hand Brewing Company. I've never had a peanut butter beer before. I don't know much about them. I don't know if you guys have ever had any peanut butter beers.
I have. I've tried a couple different peanut butter beers. This one actually is one of the ones I've tried. It's a very good beer.
This will be my first. I'm a peanut butter beer virgin.
So am I. But so with this beer, well, we gotta click the top off, and we gotta pour it hard. So
That's like because of the nitro.
Yeah, because
It releases all that carbonation or whatever into the
Yeah.
glass.
I'm scared. It's gonna overflow. Let's find out. Oh,
We kind of had to delay the start of the podcast a little bit because we realized that the recommended temperature to pour the beer is 40 to 45 degrees, and then the serving temperature is 50 to 55 degrees Fahrenheit, which is much warmer than a typical American lager or Belgian Pilsner.
Yeah, I'm not a biggest beer connoisseur so I don't know if I will mess with all that kind of temperatures and whatnot.
So there we go. I poured it hard. It went pretty hard in there. I gotta say,
Not as much
the
foam. as I thought.
carbonation, right? The
Yeah.
carbonation's a lot less than I thought.
You watch the Nitro, looks almost like a Guinness as it goes.
Oh, yeah, look at that. It's beautiful.
Yes.
The cascading carbonation there along the side of the glass.
We might have a beer that actually tastes how it's supposed to. It smells peanut buttery.
Pretty good.
Okay.
Doing my hard pour, I splashed it all over the place here.
So do we dive in or do we wait till it just dive in?
Well, yeah, it kind of does look just like a Guinness now with about half inch to an inch of head on the top. The cascading has died down.
Dark color, all that good stuff.
Let's do it.
Let's give it a sip.
Yeah. Picking up the peanut butter, definitely in the smell. And the taste.
Yeah, the smell. Yeah, it's got a peanut buttery taste. I would say this is a really good fall beer.
It is. Yeah, kind of like it.
So it must be a nitro thing where they're smooth, where beers aren't carbonated if it's nitro. It's just
That's what, yeah, that's
That's
creamy. It
yeah.
kind of gives it that creamy texture,
right.
mouthfeel, as they say. So I did notice originally, I mean, I didn't look and I'm looking now, but I can tell that it's not a strong beer.
It was my second choice.
Well, a lot like
The first one was higher. It was like 8.9.
Yeah,
And I was like,
it says 6.2. So that's right in my wheelhouse.
Yeah, Randy Rose. Low IBUs, 25. And then it's got on Beer Advocate, it's got a score of 85, which is decent. Average rating 3.79 out of 5. And I was looking through the reviews, and there were some good ones, some funny ones. You know, these Beer Advocate people. You ever go on Beer Advocate, Mark?
Never.
If it's not 100% craft beer, like the perception of people think it is, they just rip it apart, right? So if it's Modelo, then whatever it is, it's terrible. So this one I get a 3.79. I picture this as a true craft beer.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got flavors in it. It's from a smaller brewery, I think.
Yes, I would consider this a craft beer. I typically nowadays drink craft beers, so try something new every week. That's why I've tried this one. And yeah, I would definitely consider a craft beer. And as we look at it, it actually fits the description, right? So many times you try these flavorful beers that taste nothing like they are. This one smells and has a taste of peanut butter.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I saw a overall score of 90 on Beer Advocate.
Really?
Is what I saw. Maybe I misread that. But then it said outstanding on it. And my first reaction was, of course, because it's a super crafty beer. So even though if you read through the detailed comments that people left, they weren't overwhelmed. They didn't leave outstanding comments. They were good comments, but they weren't like over the top, glow, just saying this was
for being a pure craft beer. You think it would?
Yeah, there was some. It doesn't have as much carbonation as I thought. Not as much peanut butter in the taste, or things like that.
I would say this beer has more peanut butter taste than I would have thought. I think I'd probably like even a little bit more. But beers, for some reason, you never really get as much as.
Yeah, definitely said it's a dessert beer, right? People called it a dessert beer. So, what do you think about the smell versus the taste? That was kind of the big. I saw a couple of feedbacks where it said it smelled like a peanut butter cup.
Right.
With peanut butter, chocolate, sugar, but the taste is more coffee-ish and less peanut buttery.
Yeah, the taste doesn't match the smell exactly. I mean, it has some peanut butter in it, but it's the taste just isn't as strong as.
Yeah, the smell is, you smell peanut butter right off the bat.
Well, maybe as it warms up a little bit, because I don't think we're at 50 to 55 degrees Fahrenheit.
That's true too. Yeah.
So maybe that flavor will come out more.
Yeah.
As it warms up a little bit, just to put it into perspective. So this 50 to 55 degrees Fahrenheit is what that they recommend this be served at. An American mainstream light lager is 33 to 40 degrees.
Really?
A pale lager or pilsner is 38 to 45. What else we got here? Like a Belgian ale or Trappist ale, like 40 to 45.
We might have to bring in digital thermometer and start. Maybe we're drinking these beers wrong. We're drinking these all wrong.
I got a chart now here of all the different types of beers.
What's the warmest type of beer they recommend to drink?
So this,
okay.
Yeah, which would be stout or porter, strong lager, Belgian double, or cask ale. So kind of big heavy, strong.
Probably brings out stronger notes, whatever the beer is.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I smell it, I get peanut butter and cocoa pebbles.
Cocoa pebbles.
Yeah, I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know why.
It does have.
It might be. Yeah, I don't know. Yes,
and it is chocolate. There is chocolate also, right?
Yeah.
Cocoa pebbles or fruity pebbles?
Cocoa.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think that's right up.
You
start writing.
My first time ever.
Why don't you start writing Beer Advocate reviews?
No, because every other one.
Throw Cocoa Pebbles in there.
You know what every other one will be? It's a summer beer. It's a fall beer. It's good after a hot day. All right. So next up, what do we got? We're going to talk about the latest Business Central news.
Yeah. All right. Hope you're ready for a shot of Business Central. We're going to start off some news pertaining to the latest Business Central online update that was deployed around the end of September. lot of environments, we saw getting updated around September 26th or so, 27th. There were 11 platform hot fixes, 67 application hot fixes, many Czech version localization hot fixes, 6 for the US, and then a smattering of other miscellaneous localization updates. There were also 4 feature changes included with this particular update. And kind of in the weeds a little bit here, but the one is, I think it's newsworthy. It's just said the reference is it extend GL posting aggregations. And you're like, what? Well, there has always existed a table in Business Central called the inventory posting buffer table. This sits at the center of how general ledger entries get aggregated or summed up together when transactions are posted in inventory related. They have refactored this whole table to make it extensible, because the previous version did not allow for any changes to be made to how the GL entries were aggregated as transactions were posted. So there may be reasons that app developers or ISVs want to change how entries get created and posted. Maybe don't sum these up, by GL account or whatever. So now you can extend or customize how that's done. So probably not something every an end user cares about, but that could be really important for partners or ISV developers to know that they can now change that.
Is that common in Nav? Either of you know?
Well, what we generally advise people to do is stay away from changing how the system generates and posts GL entries, right? Like
because it works?
Because it's very difficult to do. You're getting in the old object world, you had to get into the source code objects and change the standard Microsoft functionality, which then makes it very difficult to get any support from Microsoft because you've changed how that. So if you get an entry that's out of balance or not totaling correctly or something, Microsoft's going to say, "Wow, you changed that. that.
We can't help you."
So now they're saying you can change it. You can extend it. You still can't change the core anymore in VC Online, but you can modify it. So also it allows a couple more changes. These are more quick. Users with a device license assigned can now set up jobs to run as scheduled tasks in the job queue. I found that a little weird just because why would a device license user
need it
be in the client setting up job queue entries? But I'm sure there's a scenario for it. Also, a change regarding the copying of links when posting general journals. Didn't say exactly what that was, but probably some improvements there. And then again, no detailed entries. Get reference information for customer ledger entry through posting. I don't know what that means.
There's no info, did you?
No.
Okay, I was make sure I wasn't the only one.
No, it said there's no detailed info. So so that's 22.5, should be deployed to most environments unless you had some sort of extension conflict that you have to resolve first, but most environments should have that by now.
All right. Well, let's see what I got then. So I just want to make everybody aware that the public preview is made available early in September for Business Central 2023 R2. The Business Central launch event is from October 10th to the 12th. There's going to be 35 sessions. We'll include a link in the show notes for everybody to register. And last but definitely not least, one of the friends of the podcast, Dr. Martin Karlovich, who's been on the podcast from Netronic, is conducting research for his annual State of the Business Central report. And then he will share the results at Directions EMEA 2023. So if you want to contribute to a survey, I'll put a link in the show notes. Everybody can try it out and contribute.
Yeah.
What else you got, Ken?
Yeah, just one more little note on the next update that's going to be coming out in late October will be a major release, a major update with new features, a lot of new features, a lot of new functionality. 51 total features included. I don't know if they're all going to be released this month, but the vast majority will. And just again, every time a major release comes out, I like to explain these steps. If you're running BC Online and you get an update from an email from Microsoft that says your environment's going to get updated, our recommended advice is to, one, create a fresh sandbox from your production environment. Two, schedule your production environment to be updated out some date out in the future. Three, let the sandbox get updated. Test that sandbox. And then once you're happy, reschedule your production environment so that it gets updated.
Sounds good to me.
You
know, he the look on Mark's face is like, is that right? I couldn't tell if he was.
It is right. No, I
agreeing with it or
agree. I
not.
agree. There's some things potentially in between, right? Like after you make, when the sandbox goes through, we're not just validating if it actually goes through that the code's correct. We don't have to make any potential changes to any extensions or add-ons that everything goes through, but also just normal testing, test the normal things you would test to make sure everything's working.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah, that's testing. Yeah, testing. Anyways, yes, we're right on. We're right on. But the point is that if you do nothing, this is the public service announcement. If you do nothing and you just do nothing, all of your environments may get updated whenever Microsoft schedules them, which could be on a Wednesday night. So you come in on Thursday and your environment's updated, and maybe you have user-defined permission sets in there for users, and all of a sudden some new permission sets got added as part of this new release, and your users can't get in. That's probably the number one most common support issue that we see with updates is that custom user-defined permission sets haven't been updated to include some of the new permissions, and there are a list of objects or permissions that need to get added as just part of this. So
makes a lot of sense. Well, all right then. So next up, we've got the cage match. Are you fellas ready?
Yeah, Mark Heick, you're going down.
Absolutely.
Ladies and gentlemen, why don't we get ready to rumble? It's that time. It's the MRP Cage face-off where Mark and Ken will be going and talking about the keys to successful MRP automation in Business Central. Each one is going to say something, and then, the first person is going to go say something, and then the person after them is going to try to one-up whatever that person said. So,
and then you're gonna.
I'll decide which is
that round.
Mm-hmm.
We're going 10 rounds.
I'll keep tally, and at the end, I'll let you know. All right, Mark, you're up first. What's your number one?
Sounds good. Categorize your parts. So my number one has to do with early on planning. What are the different types of parts that you're looking to buy and make? Is it make to stock? Is it make to order? How are you looking at these parts? Each category of these parts can be handled differently with different parameters, different reordering policies. If it's make to order, is it also a reordering policy of order? Is it a reorder point, a maximum quantity? We have lot for lot. We have these different reordering policies that can handle different parts, whether it's a manufacturing part that we want to keep to stock, whether it's a manufacturing part that we want to make to order, right? We can set these different parameters and set these different categories on these different parts to make sure that we're having a successful implementation. Not only do we want to set these, but a lot of times I see people set them once and never look back. Continue to look at these as you set the parameters on your items to make subtle changes, to make differences in maybe safety stock or reorder points, so that you continually update these so that the system is giving you the information you want.
Ken, what do you got to up that?
Great point. I will go with define your location codes carefully when you're setting up the system. One of the biggest things, so when you look at in terms of MRP, right, what it's really trying to do is make sure that you have enough supply to meet your demand. But it looks at everything within per location code. So a lot of times what people will do is they'll set up a main warehouse location but then they may have another location code for returns or quarantine or quality hold or overstock. MRP will not run well at all effectively if you've got these other locations that are really a part of this one major distribution center, right? That balances supply and demand. So if you've got your location code set up incorrectly, it's going to produce wildly unexpected results.
All right. Ken, you get to go next then.
Oh, you're gonna
I'm not quiet. Yeah, nobody's gonna know, and at the
Got
end,
it.
I'll let you guys know what's
Okay.
going on.
All right. Okay, so I go first here. All right. My number 2 is when you're implementing MRP in Business Central, do not attempt to turn on MRP automation for all items at this onset. Start with a small subset of items that you can manage so that you can see what suggestions it's creating, fine tune those suggestions, and then once everyone's comfortable and understands why and how it's producing these suggestions, then start to deploy this for more items as you go forward.
Mark, what do you got to top there?
Yeah, I think one of the most important things is data accuracy, right? And by data accuracy, I mean, are your on-hand quantities correct? Are you closing out stuff? A lot of people leave open sales return orders that never come back. A lot of people will leave out their open sales orders, back orders that they've never shipped in the past, or purchase orders that never fully closed. Those type of things will affect how MRP is looking at supply and demand. So you need to make sure you're going back, updating purchase orders that you never received something. If it's a back order sales order, update that so that you're not, to show that you no longer plan to ship that, so that the system can correctly determine if you need to buy or make that item.
Right, understood. Throw us with your next one now.
Lead times. My next one is lead times. I wanted to, for manufacturing or for purchased items. For purchased items, you're looking at the lead time on the item, or you could potentially put the lead times down to the suppliers to make sure that that's accurate so that you're getting this inventory in time. For manufacturing, you're looking at your routings. You're looking at the setup time on the routing, the run time, the wait time on the routing, the move time on the routing. You also have queue time on your work centers or machine centers that you can have that can give you that accurate, adds up to the lead time for those items. Without accurate lead times, you're never going to get the material in when you need to make it so that you can get the shipments out on time.
What's your rebuttal, Ken?
It's funny, I don't disagree with you. So my next one is to make sure that when you go about this, when you're trying to automate MRP, that you have defined clearly different individual and team member roles. So who on the team is responsible for planning, right? Overall, who does production planning and manages production orders? Who does purchasing of raw materials? A lot of times you go into organizations and it may not be clear, or different people, they're all kind of doing it together. A lot of people may be stepping on each other's toes. There's not a clear line in the sand that separates who's responsible for what. And usually that's just a recipe for confusion, because everyone right now, they're all having to do this in a structured manner and no one really knows who's doing what. So to create those clear boundaries so that each person knows what they're responsible for.
Not bad. Just taking some notes here, swinging back and forth.
Now,
Now Ken gets to hit Mark with another one.
To me, huh? All right. Set realistic expected delivery dates on sales orders. So let's say that, you get an order in from a customer and you say, all right, when would you like this delivered? And they go, well, I'd like it in 2 weeks. So you set your requested delivery date or expected delivery date for 2 weeks out. But everyone in the company knows that that's impossible. based on how long it takes to get the raw materials and to actually produce it. Maybe the production cycle time is 2 weeks, right? All that's going to do when you automate MRP is tell you that you're late. And you should have created these POs earlier, and everything is going to say that it's due today. And it really it makes the data almost useless because everything is late, everything is an emergency, everything needs to get done today. So you have to be relatively accurate on what is a realistic delivery date that we think we can target and actually get this done by that date.
So Mark, what do you got to top setting realistic date?
I agree with it. I'm going to actually add to the dates. So everything in the system is so date specific when MRP runs, right? So your sales orders must, you're going to line up supply and demand, purchasing dates, sales dates, manufacturing due dates. Everything kind of lines up one after another when MRP runs. So many times people don't go back and update dates. You should feel like you can go back and update dates. To keep things accurate, you want to update if a sales date changes. If a purchase order is going to come in late, you might want to update the purchase order date and the sales order date, right? So if purchasing is coming in late, you know what that's going to affect. You should update the different dates within the system so that MRP can stay in line, but keep giving you accurate dates on when things will be coming in and when to make things.
So you're adding to what Ken threw out first.
One-upping it.
Just piggybacking.
That's where I'm upping.
I got to score this here,
Mm-hmm. I'm enhancing what he said.
All right. What do you got next then, Mark?
A little bit. This one's kind of a little bit of a step of outside of MRP. It's more of how should you run MRP MPS? Should they be run together? Should they be run separate, right? The master production scheduling versus material requirements planning. Also, many people just run both at the same time, which is great. And maybe they run it 5 days a week. You kind of want to plan that out and come up with a plan of how often are you going to run MRP MPS? Are you going to run MPS on itself early in the week and then run MRP afterwards for all the different, down the line items that need to be bought and purchased? So coming up with a plan and understanding what MRP is, what MPS is, and how often you want to run it can make a big deal in how you're managing your inventory.
Nice. Sir Ken, what's your topper?
My topper is that a lot of times if you're running the calculate regenerative plan in the planning worksheet, it comes back with this long list of suggestions. And it says, oh, you should create a new production order for 50 of these widgets. And a lot of times people look at that data and it's not clear why is it telling me to create 50? And my tip is use the item availability by event page from the planning worksheet right there to view a list of all of the supply and demand transactions that are scheduled and the expected running on hand total of that item to see why is it telling you, like, what's the demand and on what dates, and then why is it here's the supply replenishment to do that. So it gives you, at some point you ultimately trust that the system is creating the suggestions that you want, but especially as you're getting started, this page is helpful to see, oh, here's all the activity that's going on, and this does make sense that we add, production order for 50.
Gotcha.
Just, I couldn't agree more with Ken on that one. It wasn't so long ago that I actually showed him where that page was and how to use it.
I got a knife fight going on here now.
Okay. So one of the issues that people deal with a lot of times in MRP is long lead times, right? Especially where it may take you, let's say, 3 months to purchase raw materials and go through a production cycle. And you expect that you're going to have customer orders for those, but those orders aren't here yet. So how do you build to that? How can you use MRP to tell you that you should be making some of these, even when there appears to be no demand? That is to use the demand forecast. So there is a function called demand forecasts, and you can go in there. And again, you're not going to forecast every item, right? But maybe some key finished good items that have long lead times. You go in there and you put in a projection of about how many you anticipate you're going to be selling over these next few months. And that way, when you run the calculate regenerative plan, you can tell it that you want to use the forecast. And it will add that projected demand into there so that you can start planning for those things today.
So I got a question about demand forecasting then. Why not forecast every item?
Well, a lot of times you may, if like, for example, if you're getting sales orders in and you can deliver out of stock that you have based on your other reordering policy, or you have a very short production cycle time, you really don't need to forecast. If you say, hey, Mr. Customer, I can get this to you by next Tuesday, and you know you can produce those between now and then,
Gotcha.
you really wouldn't need to do much forecasting. Or it's a truly like a made to order environment
Right.
where you're not producing anything to stock.
Right. And a lot of times when you're using demand forecast, you're getting help from your customers, right? Of what they're projecting and what they're expecting to take from you. And not everything is that, organized where they know, hey, this is how much every time we're going to need. A lot of stuff is less, demand driven by the customer. So you don't need it at that point.
Yeah, nice piggyback there, Mark.
But
Yeah.
Oh,
Calm down, Cat. That's not his joke.
sorry, I'm a little fired up.
Yeah, I got to get control of this thing here.
If I wanted to piggyback, I would have added blanket orders and how that else.
Oh.
But I'm not done.
All right, mark it up.
All right. Next one is for me is reduce the noise. So when you're using the planning worksheet and running the calculate regenerative plan, a lot of times users will look at it and say there's way too many action messages. So I like to try to help them. There's a lot of parameters on the items that can help reduce those number of action messages. A lot of accumulation period used when you're using a reorder point of lot for lot, reorder policy of lot for lot. This lot accumulation period allows you to start at one point of demand, go out, let's say I put in 3 weeks, aggregate that so that it can say through those 3 weeks, this is the total demand, and get the supply all in on one date instead of being date specific for each one. Rescheduling period can really help you with, a lot of people get those cancel new, right? Everybody hates it when they see the cancel new. So what do you do when you get a cancel this purchase order and create it the very next day as a new one? Put in a rescheduling period for a certain amount of time. It will take those, and instead of canceling new, it will simply just reschedule it instead of giving you a new purchase order number. Dampener period, dampener quantity. This will reduce the noise, right? It will allow you to not update the date. It won't change the date, might not change the quantity, as long as those are being reduced, right? If the quantity is going down, a dampener quantity will keep the system from making any recommendation to change it. Dampener period, if the date is pushing out on the demand and it's within the dampener period, the system won't tell you to move it or do anything with it. The last one is the time bucket, which is really just used for fixed reorder point and maximum quantity. This helps reduce the noise the very same way that the lot accumulation period does for lot. It's very similar to that for fixed reorder points and maximum quantities. This will reduce the number of action messages, reduce the time your people are in the system, and just overall make them a lot happier and understand better what the system's telling them to do.
That was a strong number 6, Cat.
That was 6, 7, 8.
I think you threw like four things in there. I mean, is that legal? Is that, hey?
If he wants to use them as one.
It goes under
No, it's legal because
the noise.
maybe he doesn't have enough for the next one then, so.
I don't
It
know.
could-
I
it
hear
could be a
some
strategy.
booze. I hear some booze from the crowd, but well, I guess that's gonna go, huh?
Yep, 2 rounds left, so.
All
All
right.
right, Ken.
See Mark weakening over here a little bit.
Is it his turn or mine? I don't remember.
You
It's me?
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
next.
All right.
starting to look a little.
You-
weak.
listen,
We've
that
had
was- That was strong last time, so you got a top dead now.
Are you sweating? I see some sweat on your forehead there.
We both had discussions on lead times. Well, one of the hardest thing about lead times is long manufacturing lead times, trying to know when you should purchase the material. you can use routing link codes in the system on a routing to attach specific material to a routing step. So if you need this later on in the production process, you won't have to order it earlier, and you won't have that on hand sitting there if it's a 3-month lead time, if you don't need it for until the second month of production. Routing link codes can be used to help with back flushing and all of that, but it is also very important with MRP to help with your lead times and getting the material in at the right time.
Lead times are very important. However, more important than that, Michael, is to make sure that all of your users understand the impact of changing your planned shipment date on a sales order after MRP has already run, right? So you've got customer placed this order with you. You planned the production, you planned for some purchases for it, and now someone goes in and changes the planned delivery date. It could be they move it in or they move it out, and those would have two potentially different impacts on what the system's going to suggest for you, right? Possible scenario is that they move in the date a week. The system says, well, I can't reschedule this. You started the production. We're going to have to create a whole new production order for this because this one's not going to be due until a week later. So you have to be very careful with how you update those planned shipment dates on the sales orders after planning's been done.
I feel like I might have mentioned that a little earlier, but good detail.
I wish people could see what I get to see. All right, last round. And Ken gets to start off the last round.
It's me, huh? All right.
Well, before that, though, how close do you guys think it is?
Pretty close.
Think it's pretty close?
I think it's fairly close, but I'm confident.
All right.
Doesn't really sound like it, but okay.
Well, I don't want to
You
say
gotta be like, I'm a winner.
Okay, my last one.
I think it's over before the last.
And perhaps my greatest suggestion of all time.
Uh-oh.
In order for the system to create realistic dates that you can complete production by, you must have detailed, accurate routings. So you know, if you're thinking, I'm just going to create a one-line routing that just says assembly and it takes 5 minutes per piece to get done, you're going to have a very difficult time scheduling and planning that. As opposed to if you have 6 routing operations with 30 minutes of setup time and then run time. And also maybe if you're painting, put in 24 hours for wait time so that it doesn't assume as soon as you finish painting it, you can proceed to the next step, right? So if you don't have a detailed routing set up, and a lot of companies don't because they operate lean and they're like, let's just get something in there so we can get some cost put into there for some labor and overhead. Don't expect MRP to do as much for you as you might have hoped.
All right, Mark.
Yeah, my last one is just the going back to a
You'd
little
like to
bit.
use one of my extra ones? I've got some extra ones here.
I got
In case you're right.
I got 2 left. I'm gonna give them a 2 for 1. My last one is the reordering policy, right? We discussed it a little bit earlier, but really MRP, everything that's running off of it with, if you have all the other stuff we've discussed, is what type of items, know what type of items and what you want to buy, fixed reorder quantity, maximum quantity, order lot for lot. Make sure you understand what each of those do and when they should be used. One of the ones people use that get confused with is order, right? Order is going to use reservations in the system and it's always going to link supply and demand. So if I actually have on hand and I put an order in for something marked order, it's still going to tell me to make or buy that item, even when I have it on hand. So just making sure you understand what all of those mean so that you can set it up to get the right results. The last one I'm going to throw in there is this planning flexibility field.
Throw the flag.
We'll talk about it after. We'll talk about it after.
Great tool, but dangerous. So this, right, on purchase order lines, on production order lines, you have this ability to flag this unlimited or none. If you, depending on what you set that to, you can basically say, have MRP skip over this. Don't even worry, right? Never tell me to do anything with it. Never tell me to move it. Never tell me to do it. This is a PO that's never going to change. Great. Reduces the noise. One more tool to reduce the noise. The gotcha that I'm going to tell people to be careful for is if you are changing dates and a sales order comes in and they move that date in front, MRP is not going to see that. Or if the demand goes completely away, MRP is not going to know that, and it's going to continue to tell you to use it. So it's a great tool, but you have to really understand it and build stuff around it so that you're not.
Is this a cage match or a training class?
What are you trying to say? We got a lion versus a cat? All right, so
I think it's a knockout. I think we had a knockout, in my opinion.
All right, so Mark, I had to.
So the
I got to ding you for the last one, right? When you did the 4-1, I gave you the point for that. Okay, the 4-1, whatever that was, a couple questions ago.
Mhm.
Not with the last. You can't do 2 for 1 in the last one.
Like a low blow,
I don't know, a twofer?
point deduction, low blow.
I gave you a 4 for,
Ugh.
but without that last one, I mean, you guys are going pretty neck and neck. Even though I had to ding you for the piggyback one, so it was 5-3 Ken.
Wow.
Woo!
Yeah, I'm telling you why you
Even
lost.
though
You piggybacked that one. I can't give you the point if you piggyback.
I mean,
And then you 2 for 1 on the last one when you already did 4 for 1.
Wealth of information.
Absolutely, points are
But
as valid as can be.
Piggybacking,
But he tried
2
to.
for 1s. He almost tried to bite my ear off
So
in the 5th round.
just to be clear, I'll accept the judge's ruling, but 2 of Ken's points were actually the same ones I made later on. He made the same lead times he jumped on that I already had. And there's one other one. Just to
Okay,
be clear, I'm not a
but-
sore loser. I'll give him the victory. Congratulations.
Thank
So you
you.
both,
Thank you.
yeah, you both walking that fine line with
Grudge
the rules
match.
or whatever.
Complete. Let's go back to drinking beer.
Should be the right temperature now. All right, that was good times, good, interesting, fun. And then, sorry, next up, we're going to talk about AI, everybody's most popular topic.
And snack.
And snack, yes. All right, we're back for the AI snack time segment, and we're drinking peanut butter and milk stout nitro beer, and we are also pairing that with, what do you call them? Oots pretzel bites, peanut butter filled. So I'd say it works well together. Seems to be a fan favorite.
Yeah, I think these peanut butter pretzels probably pair well with a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, so before we jump into what we have for AI or whatnot, I want to push Mr. Mark on the spot. What's your feeling on AI? Do you like it? Do you not like it?
I don't.
Scared,
I
of,
think
scared of it? Are
probably
you not scared of it?
from hearing just a little chit chat from you two, I probably fit somewhere in the middle, right? Like I'm not scared of it. I think it can be good. I think there's areas where it probably will have very little. I think AI will probably touch almost everything, but in some areas, very, very little, right? So I'm not as strong.
You're not thinking of opportunity, Dave.
No,
It's
I'm not.
not like on the forefront of your mind and on your radar generally every day.
No.
Do you use AI?
Well, that's a trick question. I'm sure I do in a bunch of different things, but do I?
Do you use AI? Like, do you go on ChatGPT and ask
No,
something?
I do not. I do
Alright.
not. Now, I do think like if I'm reading something once in a while or Google something, read something, I do sometimes read it and go, I'm reading an AI answer. Like I think you can still easily tell like when it's like a ChatGPT answer versus someone actually writing it.
Interesting.
So I do notice that when I'm reading about stuff and can tell pretty quickly sometimes. At least I think I can right now. The day I can't tell will make me a little more scared.
Are you for AI furthering the advancement of everything, or no?
Yeah, I mean, I am. I think I until I see a reason why not, right? Like, I mean, if you're going to tell me that nobody's going to have, all jobs are going to be gone for a certain class, then no, I'm not 100% for it in that way.
Wow.
Um,
Every new technology, though.
Right, but I mean,
Gardeners hated the invention of tractors.
understood. But
Typewriter repair people didn't like the creation of
the word processor or whatever it was.
computer.
Yeah.
But look, they're still thriving today, right?
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
All right. But they moved to something different, right? Like there's, I do think when you hear people say, well, AI is going to leave no name jobs, I think the job market shifts, right? So people are going to find jobs and people are going to put people to work no matter how much AI.
And new jobs will be created.
Correct.
Right.
That don't exist today.
But just to be clear, you're on board with AI.
Yes. I have nothing against it as of right now. I
2-1 in this room, baby.
I'm not on board with AI.
That's what I'm.
Well, you don't. Wow, I would say you're not totally on board with AI right now. You're very skeptical.
I just don't think, I think there was an extreme amount of hype over the past 6 months that is a little premature. I mean, there is progress being made, and I mean, everyone is trying to move as fast as they possibly can to produce what they can because they believe it's the next internet, the next big thing.
Well,
and if they're left behind, they're dead. So, I mean, there's.
But I would say you're skeptical. The way where you were, a lot of people are like AI. Let me use it. I'm going to use it, and you're more along the lines of, well, somebody's behind it. It's got to be biased.
I'm skeptical of a lot. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's just your nature.
Prove it,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of changes, to any Microsoft partners out there, if you've been a member of the Microsoft Cloud Partner Program, which was renamed in 2022, 1 year ago, from the Microsoft Partner Network, right? You are now part of the Microsoft AI Cloud Partner Program.
Wow.
So Microsoft has converted everyone from the Microsoft Cloud Partner Program to the Microsoft AI Cloud Partner Program. So they just put AI in.
Oh.
That's what they did. And it's really the same program. It's just called, they wanted to put AI in the name. And they've added a 7th solution partner designation type called data and AI. And then added some AI content to a couple of the other ones. And there's also, there's a page I would recommend if anyone's interested in AI as a Microsoft partner. There's a page called AI for Partners homepage. And this is should be your starting point. There's resources on there if you're interested in developing or delivering AI solutions for your customers, including like an AI transformation partner playbook, how to incorporate AI into your solutions, modernizing your apps with AI, mixed reality development, and you can even apply to join the Security Copilot Design Advisory Council.
Wow.
So if you're really, really into it, there's a lot. You could dive pretty deep right now into some of that stuff.
It sounds like a Mark thing.
Yeah, he's right up his alley.
Oh yeah.
He's ready for it. Well, speaking of Microsoft AI or whatnot, so Microsoft Windows 11 was introduced, and for people who don't know, Copilot, which is Microsoft's AI application, is now in Windows in preview. So it's going to, let's see what they put here. Their exact words are: empower you to create faster, complete tasks with ease, and lessen your cognitive load, making once complicated tasks simple. So Copilot will be in virtually everything that you do then within Windows, right? I think in the video it was play this Spotify Spotify playlist pot list. And it did it. So we'll see. It's going to be interesting. You got another Microsoft thing or nope?
No.
All right, let's go down my list.
Ran through my list pretty quick there.
So old Mr. Microsoft Bill Gates says AI will be teaching kids literacy within 18 months. In a fireside chat at the ASU plus GSV Summit in San Diego, Gates explained that the AIs will get the ability to be as good as a tutor as any human ever could have been. So, thoughts?
So teachers are done?
Tutors.
Not
Tutors?
teachers,
Not teachers,
tutors.
Well, he said tutors. I'm not, I don't want to quote him wrong, but he said tutors right
Okay.
now.
How is it? What's the application how are they doing it?
I would imagine there's some sort of app, right, that a kid goes onto and it can interact and say. You probably can do it now in chat.
When you said it's going to be teaching
he
children
said
literacy
within 18 months.
within 18 months, not 18-month-old children.
No, within 18 months.
Within 18 months, there will be AI teaching literacy to kids.
Yes.
Okay.
That's
He says AIs will get to the ability to be as good as of a tutor as any human ever could be.
So if I make a comment that says, I believe that statement, and it sounds to me like that will replace teachers. Am I out of line there?
No. Could you see AI replacing teachers?
Sure.
I would hope not. Could I see it?
Well, would
We're
AI
not
take up?
teachers.
But would I ever want to send, like, my child to something that's purely AI to learn outside of school?
Completely.
But what if the AI was not biased like a teacher could be? Obviously, all teachers are biased towards some things. Well, I'm just saying.
Like the Dallas Cowboys versus the Chicago Bears, like that.
Right.
Yeah, like taking it political or something, but
No,
as
that's
far as-
political, but I mean, let's say the teacher's
Right.
biased towards, I don't know, eating, being vegan or saving global, I don't know, cats, right? You know what I mean? Where AI is not as biased towards it and says that everything needs to be saved, or we need
It's
to,
focusing on just reading, learning how
Right.
to read or learning how to do
Mhm.
math.
right,
Here's how you need to learn how to do algebra.
right. Because I guess you can interpret history differently. Everybody could. Maybe AI is just telling you how history was.
Yeah, I personally just think we've gone too far without kids getting interaction that I don't, right? Whether it can do as well, right? Teaching as well as a tutor or a teacher. I haven't seen it yet. I would be skeptical. I
But
guess
it
would be the
could,
thing.
let's say you had a 45-minute class, reading class or math class. Could the AI be delivering the lesson for 20 to 25 minutes? And then afterward, the teacher assists students with answering questions
Or during
and
the lesson.
helping them
Mhm.
based on what the lesson was?
But is that really AI then? What is it? The AI piece is just a computer program?
Yeah,
teaching
I see
people?
what you're saying. It
I mean,
could-
the whole
it could
AI
be a
piece to
video.
me is the answers and questions of
Yeah.
the kids. Otherwise, it's just me
just
putting
do
a
a
recording
recorded
out
video,
saying, here
yeah.
you go, right?
Yeah.
So that to me,
Well,
I'm sure someone
what
that
if
knows
it
a lot
works
more
in
than me would
tandem
say
with the
it can
teacher?
get there, but
If it works in tandem with the teacher, maybe, I don't know. Maybe the AI goes around answering the questions and the teacher's delivering.
But I believe it, and I believe it's a natural use of AI is teaching and instruction and helping provide the steps for how to accomplish something. I mean, that's a perfectly reasonable use of it.
We just don't want it to be biased, right? So, speaking of that,
That's not at the, I mean, yeah, go ahead.
he's leading the witness.
Yeah.
I see where
yeah,
it's
yeah,
going.
yeah.
Can't be biased. Can't be
Chat
biased.
GPT's political bias has been highlighted in a study. Let me read to you a little bit here. It says, a study conducted by computer and information science researchers from the UK and Brazil has raised concerns about the objectivity of ChatGPT. The researchers claim to have discovered substantial political bias in ChatGPT's responses, leaning towards the left side of the political spectrum. This is published in the journal Public Choice last week. It says the study conducted by Fabio Motaki and Vladimir Pino and Victor Rodriguez argues that the presence of political bias in AI-generated content could perpetuate existing biases found in traditional media. Is anybody surprised that they found bias in?
No, I don't think you had to spend any money to conduct a study to see that.
Oh, nowadays you got to. You can't just believe anybody says.
Didn't we did our own?
Yeah, we
months
did.
ago,
Yeah,
We did our own in like 10 minutes.
yeah.
We did some tests and it was pretty revealing, right?
Yeah. So that's interesting, but that's what scares me about AI.
Now, why is that? Do you know
It's
why?
controlled by humans.
There you go.
Mhm. Yeah,
And
I don't
the
think
AI isn't biased. The humans that are controlling the AI are biased.
Yeah. What isn't biased then, though?
The original AI,
every history book.
the original
every-
AI
yeah.
that they came out with. And go do some research. About 5-10 years ago, they came out with AI and they were some people were shocked
Oh,
by the results
Of
of
what I learned?
what it was doing and what it did. And they decided they needed to put some guardrails
yeah.
on it. So this isn't version 1 that we're seeing right now with like ChatGPT
No,
or
no.
or whatever. Right? That version 1 was like 5 years ago. So
Did you know they do not allow ChatGPT to access websites, external links? If you put a link into ChatGPT and say, I don't know, tell me about this web page, it will not go to that web page and tell you about it. It says I cannot access external.
that probably makes sense because that could be like a virus or something, right? That link.
Well, you're just copying and pasting. Yeah, I guess. Well, can't really. I don't
Or
know.
no,
You can't
it's
get a
just-
virus. You have to
No,
actually
yeah,
click
that
it to
makes sense because
download.
yeah, it's just using its existing set of knowledge that it has. That's
Yeah.
data that they have decided to feed into it versus other data that they have not decided to feed into it. So it has its finite set of knowledge that it's basing its responses off of. It's not actually, that's like
So
like
is
to
that
say,
AI?
what you'd be trying to
Right.
do, what you'd be basically doing with it is if you said, go to this site, figure this out, you're actually adding more content there to its knowledge base.
Well, you could also say, you know, if it's like a math site, a math page, whatever that, you know, is describing some sort of calculus function, you could say, hey, I don't understand what's going on this web page. Can you explain this to me in layman's terms? Right? You'd actually have to copy what's on that
Copy
page
that,
and paste it in and then ask that question.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and if you're, I mean, so if you have to paste it in, I mean, it is, I don't even, I've never done that. Does it, if you pasted something in that's
Yeah.
just incorrect math, would it just say this is incorrect math at this point? Does it
No,
know that?
It usually lies to you and tells you some answer that it comes up with.
Well, the new
Right.
chat, right? So I guess the new version of ChatGPT is something like 80 to 90%. It passes the bar like 80 to 90% faster than every human. So it passes all these tests way quicker than, you know, humans, but it's getting there, I think. But
We're
your
almost
point-
there. We're
Mhm.
almost there.
Mhm.
Where
It just seems like programming, really.
have you ever seen iRobot?
A
Will
robot.
Smith?
No,
Oh my God, you guys are killing me. You know, we're just on two different levels here with this AI. You guys got to see that movie. It
Have
came
you
out in
seen
like
Office Space?
I have not.
Well, yeah,
come
we all have
on.
two.
I'm trying to get through Seinfeld.
If you're
I've
watching,
never seen The Office either
if you're
yet.
watching iRobot before Office
Yeah.
Space, then there's a real issue here.
Yeah.
I agree.
Oh, too funny. All right. Last but not least, this is not a Microsoft thing, but Mark Zuckerberg said that who's the owner of Meta, Facebook, that type of thing, says
Thank you.
AI will be built into all of Meta's products. So
That just
Interesting.
sounds like hype, bluster, marketing.
Yeah, it doesn't mean anything, does it? I mean, what does it mean?
Isn't it kind of already? I mean, don't people assume it is?
I don't think it is. Trying to think what his products are.
And what does that mean?
Facebook, Instagram. I think that it's just like going to be like a Chat GPT type of thing on their website. Like, here's what I envision. I told this to Ken. Here's what I think of AI, right? I think if for Business Central, I get Business Central, I'm a new customer, I'm a one-person guy in my garage. I get I load it up and I say, all right, great. I don't know, go through and create this purchase order, open up a purchase order, or configure whatever manufacturing, and it asks you questions and it configures it. To me, that's like AI for Business Central. Is that coming?
It's all right. I mean, the assisted setup and stuff, the way they do that, they've tried to already do some of that stuff, but I don't know that it will ever be perfect. I don't know how you would, right? There's no set,
If it were
there's
able
no
to
set list of questions that you can ask that I think could make you set up the system 100% one way.
Well, if humans can ask the questions, why can't ChatGPT or why can't AI ask the questions?
Guess it could, but some answers have more than one answer. Some questions have more than one answer.
It's true.
Guess it could, but I
Like I want to open up my computer and I want to
I
type
don't have
in.
a list that could do that right now.
Yeah, I want to open up my computer and I just want to say to it, all right, create a purchase order in Business Central. and it just pops up Business Central and a purchase order pops up, and it could ask me what I want to do and I could say to it, or I could just enter it, I guess. You know, he wants to laugh, but he's trying not to.
I mean, you're missing a little bit of detail there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but
Who's the vendor? What is the item? How many do you want to buy? What do
right,
you
but
need
are
to
those things
buy?
that AI can ask and then configure? That's the question.
I guess. So is there an opportunity for physically disabled to be assisted by AI to allow them to create purchase orders when maybe they otherwise wouldn't have been
Right.
able to?
It's a good way of
Yes,
looking at it.
excellent application. If you tell me that you want to use it because you don't want to click the mouse button and type the vendor name and an item name because that's
Well,
too much work for you,
No.
then we're in a little bit of a gray
No,
area.
but you got to think further, right? Like if I'm able to do that, then eventually you can have your glasses on, whatever it is, and you can say while you're walking outside, create this for me, so you can actually, you're not construed to having to do it on a computer.
Okay,
Would you cross the street while you're racing?
I don't know. I don't know.
Understand what he's trying to say. We probably got to watch iRobot would be my guess.
No.
Maybe
But
that will
you've
help
seen
me.
like Google had the Google Lens, like Microsoft has HoloLens. They're obviously going to get to the point where they're like glasses on our face.
Of course.
Well, yeah, that's the goal, right?
Chip in our brain. It's just, you're just gonna have to think about it.
Yeah, who would ever
You just-
thought about that?
Just think, and your PO is gonna get emailed to the vendor.
Yeah, I don't
And all
trust.
they got to do
I
is
don't trust
think
that.
when it's shipped.
I don't trust the Neuralink. What?
Right. And I said, all they got to do is think. The vendor just has to think, and next thing you know, it's at your door.
There it is.
No, but if AI is so powerful, though, would it never be able to set up MRP and Business Central for you?
AI could be used
Yeah.
to do MRP.
I think it could strategically come up with a plan
Yeah.
to hit your item, to set your items up the correct way, know enough
'Cause it's-
what data it's looking at,
It's math.
figuring
Right.
out what reorder points, things like that. Yeah, probably. Actually,
Start looking for a new job.
I'm no longer
No,
the maestro.
never.
I lost.
Never,
Today.
never.
I'm good.
No, but that's the point, though. You got to like think outside the box with it.
Yeah.
It's not the stuff that you're normally accustomed to. It's going to be different things.
Well, and in a planning and purchasing environment, most of the time, what happens is there's a conflict, and someone has to make a decision, right? And you want that person is still gonna have to make a decision. I've got 2 production orders that need this machine, and one of these orders is gonna get out on time, and one is not. Which one?
No, sure.
Oh, you could set up a priority. You could, yeah, but let's just say you don't, right? Someone still needs to make a decision. Do you work overtime? Do you outsource one of the jobs? Do you
wouldn't AI
turn up
take-
the machine speed?
But wouldn't AI take into consideration all those things in a
It's
matter of like?
gonna take everything, yeah.
No,
because
but I mean, wouldn't
it
in a
knows the
matter of
worker's been
seconds?
working 2 double shifts already, and you really don't want them working a 3rd double shift in a row. No, the answer is no, Michael. It doesn't know everything. Does it know that it's supposed to be snow tonight and no one's gonna want to work 4 extra hours because there's 8 inches of snow coming?
Please tell me AI is going to
It-
take over the job of weather
It
people.
doesn't.
Please tell me that's going to happen.
They just started construction on the main street, and that's gonna impact our ability to deliver trucks that route. So they're gonna have to go a different route because of a major construction project.
I think it would.
Yeah, that's right. Mhm.
Well, I mean, even now, right in your Google Maps or Apple Maps, where it tells you where.
That's a specific mapping application.
No, but yeah, but right.
MRP, you're saying in the MRP, know
Yeah,
that we
yeah.
can't get this truck out in rush hour tomorrow morning because of that big construction project that just started?
Right.
No way.
No.
You're going too
Well,
far.
you're going, yeah, right. You're making steps beyond what you can control, right? At that point, you're making decisions before things happen. In the instance you're talking about, where there's a traffic jam the next day, you don't know that when you're working
Yeah.
in today, but
Right.
nobody, even the human wouldn't know that, I guess. So
Right. But wouldn't AI know it before the human?
no,
Why not?
Well, as
They
far
would
as
tap
that,
into.
I think that, like, I think what Ken was saying, there's certain decisions that no matter how many priorities you take into account, it's still, the human might make a different decision, even if you set all the priorities, right? If we're
Oh,
gonna set
absolutely.
something out and, okay, in this instance, the cost is more. Am I willing to take the extra cost or be late on delivering something?
All right.
Can the
Well,
computer be set to make that decision for you? Sure. But is the human, might they make a different answer than what they told the computer? Yes.
but which one do you think is the more of a probability of being correct?
I'm going with the human in this instance because they're the one that
So,
jobs on
Head
it.
coach of the Dallas
They don't have to
Cowboys.
make that decision.
Head coach of the Dallas
Oh,
Cowboys.
yeah, here we go.
Or any football team,
Okay.
right? Do you think AI would make better decisions than the coach every time? I guess.
No,
No.
No.
Every time you said no.
because you can't, AI doesn't look at a player and know that he's gassed. And he's got to come out and you can't push him anymore. He's run the ball 25 times. I mean,
Well, no, but AI, I think, will say that it'll take the average of every running back and say after like baseball, right?
but does it know
after
that
20
he
minutes.
hurt his ankle 4 plays earlier?
And how bad is that ankle hurt?
But well, I mean, if it tells them, I
Yeah,
guess.
it will know that.
Oh,
Yes.
No,
it
it's
knows
not
the
gonna
exact
know.
severity.
You can challenge him like it's gonna know.
It's good.
No, it won't know that. No, it won't know that. It won't know that unless it's told, I guess. That's interesting.
To your point, sports analytics are becoming more and more. Yeah. So,
I
but
hate it. Yeah.
you use the term all the time. No.
Well, I mean,
Go ahead
It's
and
why
say,
you
oh,
see,
no,
it's
still
why
say
you
no.
see football teams whose their offense hasn't done anything all day. It's 4th and 1 and they go for it on the, deep in their own zone. And you're going, what are you doing? And after the game, the coach says, well,
The analytics told
analytics
us,
say that our chance of getting that first down on a 4th and a half a yard is 82%. Yeah, but have you watched your offense play football today? They haven't done anything. You've been getting stuffed all day.
it'd be interesting to see.
So
if
now
you
we're
could
talking
compare
about
the
the
two.
Bears.
Oh,
Yeah.
boy.
Yeah.
Sorry.
talk about
Why don't
Bears.
we rank this beer?
Yeah, let's rate the beer. Yeah. You want me to go first?
Yeah, I've already, I got my rank here.
Already?
Yeah, I got it. I've been looking at this while you guys.
You go first then.
Debating the future of the world.
Give me a
I'm
second.
gonna go for Left Hand Brewing Company Peanut Butter Milk Stout, 63, which sits comfortably between the Fuel Cafe coffee flavored stout and 1 point above it, the Kentucky Vanilla Barrel Cream Ale.
Oh, I've tried those before.
One below
Those
that.
things aren't good.
Really?
That's not a good rating.
I like the
Well,
coffee stout.
I have a lot of my stouts and whatnots and.
Yeah, it's kind of low though. It's kind of low for him.
Mm-hmm.
I can't like separate out, well, this is a better stout than that stout. For me, it's just overall
Right.
drinkability.
Okay.
So my stouts are all in the 60s.
So I'm gonna give it probably a considerably higher rating. It's a stout. I like it. The only thing I wish it had a little bit more, and I know it's not going to because of the nature of it, right? I think it would be a little bit better with carbonation. If I could get this beer with the same flavor with carbonation, I would like it a lot better. I'm not a fan of smooth beers, so I guess I'm not a fan of nitro beers. But I'm gonna go with 74. Solid 74. I like it. I could have a couple. It's heavy. The aroma is amazing. The bottle art is terrible.
Same grade you gave the Steigle Grapefruit Rattler.
Two completely different beers, though. you can't compare those, but yeah, different times for each one. What about you, Mark?
It's a little more difficult for me. I don't have the same rating scales or know how you guys have been rating stuff, but
So
I would put this beer as right around a 75. And here for me, and I'll reason it out just because I don't have the same ratings as you guys have in this, but this is a beer I would drink at home. In the fall, in the winter, that type of time. It's smooth. I like how smooth it is, but it's also a beer that you're gonna have 1 to 2, and that's it.
Yeah.
You're not gonna keep drinking it, but it's very good for that type of night.
Yeah.
For a cold night, having 1 to 2 beers, and that's it. You wouldn't want more.
yeah,
Just for the record, on your first visit to the
we
podcast,
keep track.
we drank a Boulevard unfiltered wheat beer.
Oh, that's a good beer. What did
And
I
you
give?
gave it a 91.
Yeah, that makes sense. That yes.
That's his wheelhouse.
I would agree with that ranking still.
I have to say this beer is
There's your rank.
yeah. This beer is considerably better than what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, it's good. I enjoyed it.
All right, with that, everybody, like the podcast, share the podcast. We appreciate it. And we're going to see you next month. Ken's going to take us home.
Bye.
As we end today's podcast, we want to give a big thank you to everyone who listens, shares this podcast, and leaves us reviews. You've taken a good amount of your time out of your day, and we truly appreciate it. Thanks again. And don't be afraid to email us at marketing@solsyst.com with your tips for the podcast, or maybe you'd even like to be a guest during an episode.